I'm trying to think the most probably successful product thing that I ever worked on was for Gillette Safety Razor, was introducing the Atra razor, which was the first pivoting head razor. And so it was really coming up with a demo that showed people the advantages of this thing that start moving on your face without getting people scared. Because before that, if I told you I'm going to put a razor that's just going to move all over your face, not too many people would want to try it. But we came up with a visual demonstration, and Atra went on to become a very successful product, and basically every razor since then has been this adjustable
And what
head
was the
cap.
slogan?
I couldn't even tell you back. I wasn't so much the slogan, but we were talking, it was the idea. It was how do you visualize that this product is going to deliver. The line was not important. It was just people believed what we told them and showed them, and you know, broke that fear factor away.
What about you, David?
Well, there were dozens of campaigns that we were very proud of, very fond of, very successful, but things being as they are, I've got to say that the one that we did in the late 1940s lasted about 40 years for Carling Black Label beer, Hey Mabel Black Label,
Yeah.
which took a brand that had been 62nd to 4th in the nation without being in New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles, had to be pretty damn good, or at least the advertising didn't hurt it. The importance of it is not how the line was developed. That story is apocryphal, and not only that, it's not true, but that it had legs. It worked in all media. It worked for years and years and years. They got bored with it and always brought it back. And what happened to the company had nothing to do with the advertising. It happened to do with their management. So I certainly believe in the power of a very simple and completely irrational idea. It doesn't mean anything, but it sure as hell connected. And that really is what we're all in the business to do. We like the variety of it. We like always to think that there is a possibility we're going to have another one of those experiences. Now, on the other hand, every one of us, just talking informally, confessed to have spent all our time in the business being perpetually frightened. I don't think there was ever a day that I wasn't just a little bit scared. And, not to put too fine a point on it, you'll notice that all four of us, when we sat down to lunch, chose Laurie Mitchell's table. If this doesn't work out, she'll have our resumes.
Yeah.
I think the anxiety, the panic, the fear you feel when you're faced with, in our days, a blank piece of paper, and now either a blank piece of paper or a tablet, a PC, whatever it might be, it's still the same. That's not going to go away.
Right. Fear is the biggest thing.
Fear is such a, I hate to say it's a motivator, fear and love, both, but I mean fear is, and it comes down to great ideas and hard work, and interpreted in a way where it gives the client the best return. And you hope hope to God you have a client you align with, that the chemistry's there, that there's trust, that there's mutual respect. And that's key. If you've got clients like that, that support what you do and believe in what you do. And it's tough for clients today because their jobs are on the line. So, and that may be at the core why I don't know if it's true that the ideas today aren't as provocative as they were. I'm not sure that I agree with that. I think there may be less risk-taking across the board given this recession and the times we're in right now.
In some ways, there's too much quantification today. I mean, everything can be reduced to a chart or numbers, but I think we four would agree that the bottom line of this thing is that intangible idea, the power of it, that you just can't quantify. And today, I think clients are so spoiled with all the numbers that you can give them about everything, but you really can't give them a number that says why it ain't working or why didn't it burst through the ceiling.
I think you're right. I think that the most creative ideas come in situations where you don't have very much information.
I think the brave clients will give agencies a chance to fail. And especially in this digital world that we're in, or online world, this whole new dimension, because we're all learning, we're all evolving. And what's new today is old tomorrow.
I think
We have a question.
I'm sorry, we've been tossing around for the last half hour the great ideas, the big ideas. But I think it's incumbent upon all of us, the young people, to not be afraid to express their ideas, and the older people to encourage people to express their ideas. There's no exclusivity on ideas, and you know, just don't be afraid to say what you want to say and believe it. And the worst thing is somebody won't agree with you.
Lori?
Would each of you please share with us either your funniest or most poignant hiring or firing experience over the years?
David, you look like you have a good one.
I'm trying to recall.
No, as Lori knows, I arranged it so that somebody else always had to do the firing. You know, we always wanted to think of everybody who came to work for us as a lifer, and it was always a great disappointment when somebody either didn't fulfill our expectations or their own expectations, or didn't grow as the job did. But I think usually, at least in our place, although there may be people here who will contradict that, it didn't happen all at once. We had enough communication so that you always kind of knew day by day how things were going.
Harvey?
Working with the people was the one thing that I now miss. Coming to the end of a relationship, I don't miss at all.
I can't, I mean, firing somebody is never a fun experience, so I don't try to even think of those things. I think, you know, having been fired a number of times in my career, it's a very sobering and meaningful thing to have to tell somebody that you can't use them anymore and that they should, you know, reevaluate their career. And I guess you got to be, you know, very considerate on how you do it, and, you know, not shatter their ego any more than it's going to be shattered when they're let go.
No, firing's never funny, and I've had to let people go who I dearly love. I've been fired twice, once at Thompson, where you worked, Harvey, and it just didn't work out, and so much is chemistry, and each one of us is like a plant. You transplant yourself around, and maybe you'll take and grow, and maybe you won't. It didn't work there. I went across the street to Needham, and it was a great relationship. Griswold, I got fired. I had a chip on my shoulder, and then I had to go out and scramble to put food on the table, and things were pretty siloed, at least in my mind. But then when I had to be an account exec. You have to be everything when you run your own agency, and I gained a huge respect for others. Hiring, I would say the first person I hired, that was kind of a funny, Pat Pajolis. He came into the office with a little manila folder and a can of Coke, and we just shot the breeze, and we just hit it off, and the communication was great, and he was the first person, and I think he set the tone for the culture at the agency along with myself. We were both still, even I mean, in terms of mindsets, you talk about demographics. I mean, I love Louis C.K. He loves Louis C.K. I love this. He loves that. I don't think it's a function of age. And then the other hire I made, I was drunk. We were at Shooters. It was Friday afternoon, and we needed a receptionist. And myself and another art director were walking around and asking the hostesses, "Is this inappropriate, Tim?" Okay. Who would like to be a receptionist at Brokaw? And young lady raised her hand, and I said, "Well, here's my card." She came in Monday or Tuesday, and my wife interviewed her along with a couple others. We wound up hiring her, and I think she made out better than anybody at the agency, because she went on to marry Paul Patton, the director of marketing at Metro Health, and somewhere she's driving around a Mercedes right now and loving life. Yeah.
Well, as a veteran of being fired, I know what it's like. I didn't realize that. How many of you have been fired ever? All right, so the rest of you got to be fired, right? Because it's essential. You see all three of us. David, have you ever been fired?
I'm the boss's son.
You know what? We're in a business where we're asking people to open up their soul and pour out their hearts, right? So we all delay firing people, I think. I mean, I would put that off forever. I hired Tony Weber just for the purpose of firing someone. Then I had to find someone to get rid of him. I couldn't do it, so I sold it to him. Really, it's a business where you need people to pour their hearts out. You need people to lose sleep, to be scared, and if they don't perform, it's usually your fault, my fault, because they were supposed to read my mind, and the first thing they hear is that I'm not happy with them and they're fired. It's my responsibility as their creative director. If I hired them, it's my responsibility to help them see the way to deliver on their talents. Not everybody can just do that. So I view firing as like a war. It's just it's too bad things come to that sometimes. I think that we should really strive.